He mocked the new girl with pepper spray, then discovered she was his commander. The morning air at the training yard carried the sharp scent of dust and metal. No one noticed her at first. She stood near the edge of the formation, quiet, still, unreadable. The new girl. Fresh uniform. No visible rank insignia. No introduction. And that was all it took. Private Cole Riggins had seen new recruits before. Nervous ones. Weak ones. The kind that didn't last a week. He leaned toward the men beside him, a smirk tugging at his face. "Place your bets," he muttered. 2 days before she quits. A few chuckles followed. She didn't react. That made it worse. Cole hated silence. He thrived on reaction. And when she calmly stepped forward to adjust a training marker, he decided to make it entertaining. He reached into his tactical vest. "Hey, rookie," he called out. She turned slowly. Before anyone could process what was happening, Cole lifted a small canister, harmless training-grade pepper spray, something soldiers sometimes used in endurance drills. A quick press. A sharp hiss cut through the morning air. The mist barely grazed her shoulder, more symbolic than harmful, but the message was clear. A public humiliation. A warning. A joke at her expense. Laughter broke out behind him. But she didn't flinch. Didn't cough. Didn't blink. Instead, she reached into her pocket and calmly wiped the residue from her sleeve with a folded cloth. Her eyes lifted to meet his. Not angry. Not embarrassed. Just assessing. The laughter faded. Something about her composure unsettled him. Most recruits would have panicked. Shouted. Reported him. She simply nodded once, almost as if confirming something in her mind, then stepped back into position. The training sirens suddenly echoed across the yard. All units snapped to attention. Boots aligned. Spines straightened. A convoy vehicle rolled through the gates. Cole's smirk slowly faded. The unit's senior staff disembarked first. And then, she stepped forward. But this time, it was different. The commanding officer approached her, not as a recruit, but with a salute. A crisp, unmistakable salute. Every soldier's heart skipped. The senior officer's voice rang out across the yard. "Company, attention!" The air tightened. "Allow me to formally introduce your new commanding officer." Cole's pulse pounded in his ears. The woman he had mocked, the woman he had sprayed, stepped forward. Her posture now unmistakable. Authority radiating from her presence. "Captain Elena Marquez," the senior officer declared. The name hit like a shockwave. And this time, it was Cole who felt the burn. Not from pepper spray, but from the crushing realization. He had just humiliated his commander. The yard was so quiet that even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Private Cole Riggins felt the blood drain from his face as Captain Elena Marquez stepped fully into view. The same woman he had mocked minutes ago now stood before the entire unit, shoulders squared, chin slightly raised, her presence commanding without effort. Every soldier snapped into the sharpest attention of their careers. Cole's boots felt heavier than steel. Captain Marquez's gaze moved down the formation, slow and deliberate. She wasn't searching. She already knew. When her eyes reached Cole, they stopped. Not for long. Just enough. And that was worse. "Stand at ease," she ordered calmly. Her voice wasn't loud, but it carried. No anger. No emotion. Just control. The senior officer stepped aside, leaving the yard under her authority. This was no longer an introduction. This was her command. She paced in front of the formation, hands clasped behind her back. "I value discipline," she began evenly. "And I value professionalism." Cole swallowed hard. "I also believe," she continued, "that the way a unit treats its newest member reflects the strength of its leadership." Her boots stopped directly in front of him. Cole kept his eyes locked forward, jaw tight, breath shallow. "You," she said quietly. His heart slammed against his ribs. "Step forward." The world seemed to narrow as he obeyed. Each step felt like walking toward a verdict. He stopped 2 paces in front of her. Up close, she looked exactly the same as before, calm, unreadable, except now the weight of her authority was undeniable. "You use training spray without authorization," she stated. Yes, ma'am, he replied, voice tight. You assumed I was a recruit. Yes, ma'am. The pause. Not dramatic. Measured. And you thought humiliation would strengthen morale? The question wasn't shouted. It didn't need to be. No, ma'am. Another pause. Then something unexpected happened. She stepped back. Drop and give me 50. Cole blinked. Yes, ma'am. He hit the ground immediately. The gravel bit into his palms as he started counting. 1, 2, 3. The entire unit watched in silence. At 20, his arms burned. At 30, sweat dripped from his brow onto the dirt. At 45, his pride hurt more than his muscles. She didn't move. Didn't look away. 50, ma'am. He pushed himself back to his feet, chest heaving. Captain Marquez faced the formation again. Let this be understood, she said evenly. In my unit, strength is measured by control, not ego. Her eyes briefly met Cole's again. You will report to my office at 1800 hours. Yes, ma'am. She turned sharply. Training resumes. Dismissed. The formation broke. Murmurs started instantly. Cole stood frozen. 50 push-ups were nothing. But reporting privately to the commanding officer? That meant paperwork. Disciplinary review. Maybe worse. As the soldiers dispersed, one thought kept echoing in his mind. If that was her public response, what would the private one look like? 1800 hours arrived faster than Cole Riggins wanted. The hallway outside the command office felt colder than the training yard ever had. The walls were lined with framed deployment photos, medals, commendations, reminders of the standard he had just failed to meet. He stood outside the door marked, Captain Elena Marquez, Commanding Officer. His knuckles hovered for a moment. Then he knocked. Enter. Her voice was steady, the same calm tone from the yard. Cole stepped inside. The office was simple, organized, precise. A desk, 2 chairs, a neatly folded flag in a display case. No clutter. No distractions. She sat behind the desk, reviewing a file. This file. Close the door, Private. He did. Stand at ease. He shifted his stance, though tension still gripped his shoulders. She didn't speak immediately. Instead, she closed the folder and looked at him directly. Not with anger. Not with disappointment. With evaluation. Why did you do it? She asked. The question caught him off guard. He expected accusation. Maybe a lecture. But this felt different. He hesitated. Ma'am, I thought you were a new recruit. That wasn't my question. Silence filled the room. His jaw tightened. I thought it would get a laugh, ma'am. And why did you need a laugh? The words hit harder than any punishment. He didn't have an immediate answer. Finally, he spoke quieter. To show confidence. She studied him for a long moment. Confidence, she said slowly, does not require an audience. The room felt smaller. You've been in this unit 3 years, she continued. Strong performance. Solid endurance scores. Natural leadership potential. That surprised him. But leadership, she said firmly, is not dominance. It's discipline. Especially when no one is watching. Her words were calm, but they landed heavy. I reviewed your record, she added. This isn't your first incident involving locker room humor. His throat tightened. No, ma'am. She leaned back slightly. I could recommend formal disciplinary action. Dock your rank progression. Make an example of you. He braced himself. Instead, she did something unexpected. I won't. His eyes flickered up before he corrected himself back to neutral. You will lead tomorrow's field drill, she said. Confusion replaced fear. Ma'am? You wanted attention. Now you have responsibility. She stood, walking around the desk. Up close again, steady, unshaken. If you fail to demonstrate professionalism, I will personally see to your reassignment. That wasn't a threat. It was certainty. Yes, ma'am. She stopped in front of him. One more thing, Private. Yes, ma'am. When you sprayed me this morning, I recognized the hesitation in your hand. He blinked. You're not reckless, she said. You're insecure. The truth stung more than punishment ever could. Dismissed. He saluted sharply. She returned it without hesitation. As he stepped out of the office, the hallway felt different. He had walked in expecting humiliation. He walked out carrying something heavier. Expectation. Tomorrow wasn't about survival. It was about proving he deserved to stand in that formation at all. And for the first time since that morning, he hoped she would be watching. The sun rose early the next morning, casting a harsh light over the training yard. Every soldier knew the drill. Today wasn't ordinary. Captain Elena Marquez was here, observing. And for Cole Riggins, that meant every step, every decision, every breath was under scrutiny. Cole adjusted his uniform, taking a deep breath. He remembered the lesson from the previous night. Confidence isn't loud. It's steady. It's disciplined. And above all, it's earned. The unit lined up. The tension was thick, the kind that makes muscles taut and eyes sharper. Marquez paced along the edge of the field, clipboard in hand, noting every movement, every posture. Cole's heart thumped, not from fear, but anticipation. Today, he wouldn't make a mistake. Today, he had a chance to prove himself. "Private Riggins," she called. Her voice cut through the yard, precise and commanding. "Lead the squad through the obstacle course." He swallowed, nodded, and stepped forward. "Attention! Forward march," he barked, projecting authority he had only felt growing in the past 24 hours. The squad moved as one, eyes on him, trusting his lead. Obstacles rose, walls to climb, narrow beams to balance on, muddy pits to cross. Each challenge tested not just strength, but leadership. Cole guided his team through with calm, measured instructions, correcting mistakes gently, encouraging quickly. At the rope wall, a soldier hesitated, trembling at the height. Cole didn't mock. He didn't pressure. He placed a steady hand on the soldier's shoulder and said, "Focus on one handhold at a time. You've got this." The soldier climbed. At the muddy pit, he ensured weaker soldiers were supported. The squad moved as one, efficient, coordinated, disciplined. Marquez watched from the edge, silent, evaluating. Her eyes never left him, but her expression remained unreadable. By the final obstacle, an overhead cargo net, Cole led confidently. He reached the top, extended a hand to help the last soldier over. "Good work," he said quietly. As the squad lined up at the finish, breathing heavily, mud and sweat covering them, Marquez finally spoke. "Formation. Attention." The soldiers snapped to posture. Cole's heart sank, expecting a lecture. Instead, she paused, scanning the unit. Then her eyes met his. "Private Riggins," she said, her voice calm but firm. "You led today with discipline and integrity. You did not seek attention. You earned respect." A murmur ran through the unit. This wasn't just a recognition of strength. It was a seal of approval from a commander who demanded the best. Cole exhaled. Relief. Humility. All mixed into one powerful surge. Marquez turned, surveying the squad one last time. "This is the standard. Not just for you, but for all of us. Remember it." The unit snapped to attention once more, then relaxed. Cole remained standing, aware of every pair of eyes. He had learned a vital lesson. Respect is not demanded, it's earned. And leadership isn't about mocking the new girl, even if she turns out to be your commander. As he looked across the yard, a small smirk appeared, not of arrogance, but quiet confidence. Today, Cole Riggins had faced his mistake. And today, he had begun to grow into the soldier Captain Marquez knew he could be. The sun beat down, the training yard alive with noise, but one truth rang clear: power and humility could coexist, and lessons learned under fire last far longer than humiliation ever could.